I always like to, if you've been to any of our webinars before, you'll know that this is something I always like to put up on the screen at first. The reason why I do this is because it is something that we hear over and over and over again. It speaks to a bigger challenge that we're solving. And the quote here is that I absolutely love writing RFPs and bids, or absolutely love responding to RFPs and bids, says no one except for ProcureNow customers. And I say that a little tongue in cheek, but the reality is that a lot of folks consider, bids and RFPs and the solicitation process very adversarial, and also, just not enjoyable. And a lot, there's a lot of finger pointing in the process. There's a lot of who's responsible for what, and the process can just take a long time, and that in and of itself can create a lot of animosity. Surprisingly enough, and there's always this moment that our customers have when they realize that a lot of that time that's just spent on what we'd like to say like mundane tasks kind of goes away, and you're able to really focus on the things that you want to focus on. Less focusing on, how many places in my bid or my RFP did I, put the deadline date that I have to go in and update, more time focusing on working with your internal customers, making sure that you're collaborating effectively, and then also collaborating effectively with your bidders and vendors as well. Our goal here is to make the process as modern and intuitive as possible. And so, although you're going to be seeing a demonstration of our solution today, sometimes you can't really quantify that moment that our customers have. But again, this is something that we hear over and over again. So our goal is to help make this process more enjoyable, more effective, and that you have just a higher quality project that is the result. A little bit about myself. Again, my name is Tao. I'm the director. I'm the Chief Customer Officer for ProcureNow, and I'm joined today with me Jerry Forsland, who is over in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm here in Sacramento, California. So we've got a little East Coast, West Coast rivalry going on. Jerry is our Director of Customer Success. She was previously the head of purchasing, or the administrator for purchasing and contracts for Leon County, Florida. And so we're excited to have her be a part of the team that helps us ensure our customers are successful every day with our solution. Hey, Jerry.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. All right. So just a little bit about ProcureNow. I like to describe what we do as kind of two parts. There's actually kind of a third component of this, and it's our service. But we are definitely, as you see here on the left, we have a network. That network of our customers, it's growing every day. This week alone, we've been honored to be able to have join our family Wayne Township, New Jersey, Ocean County, New Jersey, Alton, California, and Tustin, California. And so our network of customers is growing every day, and what they're doing is they're also sharing information about the bids and the RFPs and the solicitations that they're working on, so that you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel every single time. One of the biggest things that that we saw happen in our system the last few weeks is there's a lot of folks that are wanting gloves and masks. And so all that information about what other people are procuring and the requirements that they're actually seeking can be shared with all of our customers. So you can be in charge of your own solicitations and get those out quickly, but also have access to the requirements that everyone else has been working on as well, so that time, so it doesn't take as long to put that together. So there's a lot more aspects to our network, but we're first, as I mentioned here on the left, our network is very important as far as increasing the quality and speed of issuing RFPs and bids. To the right here, talk a little about our platform. our platform are modern intuitive tools that helps increase the speed, quality, and satisfaction of the experience to the point where solicitations are no longer a bureaucratic barrier. And that's kind of what I was just mentioning in the first slide, is that with our modern intuitive tools, you can actually just focus on what's important, and worry less about the mundane tasks that end up eating up a lot of your time. We're trying to eliminate a lot of that dual entry that happens. There is a third part, a component that is not shown on the screen here, and that's folks like Jerry and myself who make up your support team. We are a group of dedicated, experienced government, technology, procurement professionals who are with you every step of the way. So it's that triumvirate that really make up what our customers really love about ProcureNow. So I'd like to, what you see on the screen here, before we go into the demonstration, just kind of wanted to give you an overview of what our solution entails. And so what you see here is, I call our product wheel, kind of starting at the top and working our way around. What makes us unique is, well, all of it makes us unique, but one of the things our customers really love and they get a lot out of are our RFP and bid authoring tools. Our ability for live internal collaboration, review, workflow, automation, and that ability to manage all of the requests that are coming in for the different projects that you have. Excuse me. And that's what you see in the green here, is what we call our collaboration module. And so, the first entry into our system is someone wanting to, for this module, is for someone wanting to actually make a purchase for something, put together the requirements for that. When you're ready to layer either an RFP or a bid or RF qualification template or a quote template, then that would be the next stage of the process. And then we route it around for approvals. And all the while, we're just collecting feedback, collaborating with your internal customers, and offering everything in kind of one place, one environment, so that you can have access and visibility into everything that's happened with your project. And then there's a moment where you just click a button, then you release that project out to the public. And so now we enter into the second phase of this, which is our sourcing module. This module is by far the most popular module that we have. A lot of our customers actually just start off with our sourcing module, in which you take your completed RFPs and bids and you get ready to post them out to the public. You notify your vendors through our vendor management features, and then allow them to respond electronically, which includes all of the features and capabilities that you would expect from an electronic bidding system. Once we've received all of those proposals and bids, then we would move into the evaluation phase. And we have a very comprehensive online evaluation system that allows you to either evaluate bids in a low bid, responsive, responsible fashion, or through a best value evaluation criteria, evaluation committee method. And then finally, we move into creating the contracts, routing those contracts around for internal approval, and then having a place, a single location where you have all of your contracts, you're associating all the documents, you're classifying all the documents that are related to it. And the purpose of our contract tool is to help you, when we reach out to our customers, the thing that they said they had the most problems with are managing the deadlines, managing when the terms come up, making sure that folks are notified well in advance, making sure that when their insurance certificates expire, that folks are properly notified, both internally and externally, so that they can update that information. So it is a notification system. It's also a search and retrieval system, so that you have all your contracts in one place. You can search for things like budget amounts and which vendors and that you have contracts with, and you just have assurance that everything is managed in one place. And then the final piece of that is helping you manage your clauses, so that the system allows you to ask some questions, and then you can, as you're typing in the answers to those questions, it's actually building the contract for you. So that's why we denote it the way that we do, that we help you write the contract. We help you manage all the different documents associated with that contract. And then finally, there's a piece where you can actually post it to your website so that the public can actually come in and search your contracts and potentially prevent a lot of those calls that come in when folks want to know more information about the contracts that you have. So that makes up the total solution that is ProcureNow. We like to refer to it as a workflow automation suite for purchasing in local government. And today we're going to spend some time showing you some examples of how our customers use that. The one thing I'll just mention before we go into our demonstration, and something that is just timely and that we've heard over and over again, I'm sure even our customers that are on the line with us today here will be happy to attest to that. One of the, and it's part of why I title the webinar the way that I do. It's one of the easiest decisions that you can make that has the most positive impact, particularly in this moment in time. If you're currently receiving bids in person, by mail, there is a better way. And that way can also be, and that better way is with ProcureNow. And it doesn't, you can do it in a way that doesn't disrupt your process. So, and what our customers have seen through this, horrible pandemic and social health crisis that we've been through, is that just by making this decision, it really shows that your agency's commitment to keeping your community safe, to keeping your vendors safe, to keeping your staff safe. And even if that wasn't a priority, if we even eliminate the safety aspect of this, just by eliminating the paper, just by supporting more efficient tools, there are so many benefits that come out of this that our customers have been able to come back to us and tell us. I was on the phone yesterday with one of our customers that said the board, their school board, was just ecstatic about the fact that they were able to make this transition from paper to paperless within the first week that that we came into this public health crisis. And they were able to do it with a team of 12 buyers without disrupting their process at all. And so there's all of these benefits that are there waiting for you to take advantage of just by making the decision to move forward with ProcureNow. And again, we're here to support you every step of the way. And every one of our customers are referable. So I would, if you're interested in hearing more about our customer stories, please feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to put you in contact with our customers, and they can tell you for themselves. All right. So we're just going to go into, and I do have some other slides. I'm not going to go through them. I am going to provide this to everyone that's joined us on the call and everyone who's registered after the webinar is over with. So we will take an archive of the video. We'll take a PDF of our presentation, and we'll send it to you so that you can have it to support your conversations internally. So I'm going to first start off by showing a couple of examples of how our customers are using ProcureNow. So the first example that I wanted to show, and I'm going to start kind of on the public side. We'll just spend a few minutes. Just talking about the public aspects, the vendors and the bidders, and what this looks like for them and their experience, and then we'll kind of go into the inside. And I do want to. What you'll see me do is I'm gonna have particular focus on the evaluation and contract part of our solution first, mainly because there's a lot of folks on the line that I know today that were really interested in like seeing evaluations and seeing our contract piece. And then we'll go back and we'll kind of fill in the front end of it. I'll show you some examples of what it looks like for the vendors, how they bid on things, and then we'll pick up from the point where you have those responses and what happens after that. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about how we drafted the bids. So our first example here is the city of Milpitas, California. So if you go to their public portal, you'll see that There's all kinds of different types of solicitations that they're doing doing through ProcureNow. I just particularly wanted to focus on a couple of examples that they have that I thought were interesting. So we'll just click on a couple of things that they have that are currently open. Here we've got a fire extinguisher inspection, repair, replace, which is an invitation for bid that you see here. So as I scroll down, notice that I'm not even logged in as a vendor yet. And this is important. There are a lot of systems that are out there that put up a big firewall, really firewalls, paywalls, they keep the entry like really high to force vendors to fill in a lot of information before they even give you access to the bid. And that can be really frustrating to a vendor to the point where they simply just give up. And they never actually get to actually see the information. So it's just something to be aware of as you're looking at ProcureNow, that I'm not even logged in here. But if I wanted to read the public notice, I can do that very easily here, which you see. I'll just scroll through here. There's no pre-bid conference. Here's some information about prevailing wage, etc. And then I click here and I can see a little bit of an introduction, background, who the primary contact is, and the timeline. As I continue to scroll through this, here's some information about the scope of work that I can read. And then as you see here now, we're giving them a preview of what their experience is going to be like to answer questions, so or to upload their response. So as I scroll through here, my contact information, and addenda acknowledgement. This is actually customizable for each project that you have and for each different type of solicitation that type that you have. So for RFPs, we know this is going to be a little bit different from invitations to bid, from quotes, etc. And so we've created a system that allows you to have that flexibility, but also to keep it, how should I say, simple. To make these changes from project to project. That's one of the things that we balance is, how difficult can you make the software so that it's as customizable from project to project. And so what we've done is we've done our best to find that balance so that you can have a genuinely unique experience. Every bid is a little bit unique. But we also want to guide the vendor very intuitively. And so what you see here, it's just like filling out a survey. They answer some questions, they upload their files, you're guiding them along about which files they need to upload. Our system actually won't allow them to submit their bid unless they have uploaded the proper forms that you see here. And then and only then, after they've answered all the questions, upload all the forms, can they respond to that bid. So this is just one example that you see of an IFB that you have here in the city of Milpitas. Now, from here, if I wanted to just download all the documents so that I can take it all offline, I can do that very easily. If there had been any addenda or notices, you would see them here, Q&A. You see that we've already had a few questions that have come in, and the city has provided their responses to them here. Of course, when that happens, the proper notification goes out to all the folks who are following along with the project, which optionally you can turn this on. Some folks like to share with the vendors who all is following the project. Some of our customers love that. Some of our customers don't prefer that. That's an option that you can turn on or off at any time. And so if I'm scrolling through here and decide that I might not be the one, I write software. I'm not going to be providing fire extinguisher inspection, but there certainly might be someone who is in my network who does this, and so I'm going to make it just really easy for me to get this bid over to them. And so to that end, we have connected with social media in a way so that they can, if I wanted to, let's say, post this to my LinkedIn site, I can just click on the link here and then share my post here, and then just very easily push this out to my social network as well. All right. just to kind of, and I'll show you just a real quick example of that. If I go over to my social media on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see what that looks like. I'm actually going to come over here to one of our customers, Sacramento Area Council of Governments, and if I go to their site, you will see that they actually, even for their entire agency, what they do more of is they post their solicitations that they have through ProcureNow, because we make it so easy for them to do that. And so you see here that they're actually, and they're getting likes, they're getting likes, they're getting impressions, they're getting more eyes on the project just by clicking one extra button and posting this out to their site. Here, this one, they got 23 likes on this project, and so they have they will, you know, and we've actually have also shared these projects with them as well, so that you know, they have the, you know, they're just getting more eyes on the project through just simply sharing through social media tools. So just want to kind of show you what that looks like. If I come over here to the ProcureNow page, which I actually would highly recommend if you're on LinkedIn to go ahead and just follow us. You'll see here that in addition to announcing some of our customers on here, and our webinars that we have, like the one we're in today, you can see here how we also highlight the procurements that our customers go through, and we're just using our own tool to do that. Here is a solicitation by Frederick County Public Schools looking for folks to provide fresh produce for their food and nutrition services department. And so you're able to provide the proper hashtags, you're able to provide you know, links to, you know, the Carrie is our procurement manager over at Frederick County Public Schools. She's another one of our customers who signed up right at the beginning of the public health crisis that we're in, and was able to transition her entire team over to electronic bidding within a week. So you know, just take a look at that when you get a chance, and so you can kind of get an idea about how you can take advantage of some of our social tools to get more eyes on your project. All right, so that was one example here that we had for the city of Milpitas. I'm going to come over here and highlight New Smyrna Beach, Florida. They actually, the reason why I wanted to do this is because they just went live with our solution. Jerry's smiling because she was
I worked very closely with them on that. I'm very proud of them.
With them on that. And we're really proud of Carol and the team over at New Smyrna Beach for getting the system up and running, and honestly, like starting off with not a you know, an easy solicitation. You know, they have a pavement replacement project that you see here for one of their fire stations, and so, you know, in a very short amount of time, we were able to help them get their system up and running. So, and as you see here, you can see some similarities with the introduction, the project detail that you see here. There's some information about the scope of work there. So you'll notice here that their vendor submission page looks a little bit different from the others. But that, again, that's just because each one is set up a little bit differently. So they're just having them confirm that there are certain bid requirements that are met. And then I just type in my addenda here, confirm that you've received and read all the addenda by typing in the numbers here. Here they're having their upload their bid packet and the required documents. And then here's some information about the bid bond. They're just drawing attention to that because in addition to scanning a copy of their bid bond or cashier's check, they're also having them mail the original copy to them postmarked no later than the date that, which is the deadline date for getting the submissions in, addressed to this address, and then just to have the instructions for what to put on the cover. So Carol doesn't have to come in and type this in every time. Our system is automatically filling the stuff in just by her, like, you know, typing in the title, typing in the contract number. All this is variable. But you know, to the end user, they don't know that. All they know is that they're being guided intuitively. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You know, and then finally, the final step here is just confirming with them that if they're the successful bidder, that they're going to have 14 working days to get the rest of this information into them, their guarantees, their contracts, etc. So, you know, doesn't get much easier than that as far as like guiding them through the process. Yeah, so There you go. And then here, you see here is our bid table that they can fill out. So in this case, there's a bid schedule that they're required to fill out and to put in all their unit costs in, et cetera, before they're able to submit that bid. So if I wanted to respond to this bid, and there's actually one of the questions that came up that said, are suppliers required to register in order to respond to an opportunity? And so the answer to that question is yes. So the moment that you want to start interacting with the bid, then let's say that I decided I want to draft my response here. I will just click on that. And you notice here now it's going to ask me for my username and password. So I'll just come in here, type in this. This is my personal email from my personal vendor account here. So I will go ahead and click login. So it's also picking up the fact that this is the first time that I've been interested in something from New Smyrna Beach. So it's going to ask me, would you like to be notified when new projects are issued by New Smyrna Beach? Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and click that. And now I'm subscribed to New Smyrna Beach's opportunities. So I'm going to just go here and kind of show you real quickly. So now you notice that the experience changed a little bit, and I can click here and fill out this information. You only have to fill it out once as far as your contacts and company profile information. So notice it's already got that information sort of filled in and checked off. Now I just can come in here and say, please confirm that you carefully read. Okay, great, I'll confirm that. Did you receive the addenda? If there were 2 addenda, I'll just type in 1, 2. And here it's telling me to upload my complete bid packet. So, just imagine I went off and downloaded the specifications and everything, and I filled out everything and filled out all the forms that I need to fill out. And I'll just come over here and grab my document and drop that in there. And then same thing for, going out and getting my bid bond and stuff done. I'll just go out and do that. And then lastly, do you confirm that you do that? So I'll just click that. So you notice that as I'm finished everything, then I get this little green check mark that comes back. And then the last part of this is what we talked about before. And now I have to come in and have to fill in what my price is for each of the items. And there's no, downloading downloading like an additional spreadsheet or anything like that. All I have to do is just fill it out right here. They have to fill out the stuff that's here in yellow, or I won't get the green check mark like you see there. All right, so I'll just save this real quick. We've got a couple of questions that are coming in, so and that are kind of related to where we are, so I'll just go ahead and answer that. One of the questions was, if a vendor submits a response and later realizes they attached the wrong document, can they revise their submission and include the correct document? Absolutely. So you notice here how I have the ability to submit my proposal. And so I'll go ahead and do that here because I know that I can actually back that out. I'll just call Carol later and say, hey, disregard that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to submit my proposal. So you notice now that I have a timestamp. I get an email that tells me that I have submitted the proposal, and you get a verification both in an email and also in your portal. And then this is what my response is here. Now, at any time before the deadline passes, I can unsubmit my proposal if I want. I can make whatever changes that I need to make to it. I can change my pricing. I can change my documents that are associated with it. All I have to do is come in here and delete that, and then upload the changes that I need to make. And even if you have like addenda that you have to process, or you make changes to your pricing table, when you post those addenda, it will notify folks so that they know that they have to go in and they have to unsubmit their bid, make their changes, and then resubmit their bid so that it is complete. So, and then if I wanted to, I can just decide I want to no bid the project if I wanted to, and just come in here and maybe give a reason, and then either submit a no bid, or I can actually completely withdraw my proposal, which I will do right now. Because I'm not interested in responding to this to this bid that Carol has out. So that it just kind of wanted to highlight a little bit like what the experience for the vendor is like. through the bid that we have with New Smyrna Beach. All right. So the last one that I wanted to kind of show here is, before we dig into the backside a little bit, is the city of Norfolk, Virginia. Again, they have a ton of really diverse solicitations. Excuse me. They have a ton of really diverse solicitations that range from goods, services. Their public works department is on board. Their engineering group is on board. Their utilities department is on board, and so you can see all these different types of solicitations that they have here. And again, it shows how complex or how easy you can make the setup for this. This looks like a pretty straightforward vendor questionnaire where they're just having them upload their entire response. They're actually having them just confirm that they've included certain things in their response, which is certainly one method that you can do. It's kind of like they just took their checklist and they implemented it as part of their vendor submission, which is really smart. If you're wanting to do that. Sorry, I've got a lot of activity going on around me, so it's a little bit distracting. Let me just do this real quick. So you can see here, again, the list of folks who are following the project. You see that here. If I'm interested in the project and I want to follow it, by clicking the follow button, what that does is that allows me to start receiving those notifications. So if I start drafting the response, if I click the follow button, if I ask a question, if I download any of the files, then I'm automatically become a follower of the project, and then I get those email notifications automatically. All right. There was we had a question that came in around, is ProcureNow an approved software provider for bids and quotes to the state of New Jersey? So we are partnered with the state of New Jersey's IT contract, and so if you have questions about how you can procure ProcureNow through your state's IT contract, we'd be more than happy to help you out with that. So the answer to that question is yes, and we can provide more information to you on that if you so choose. Please feel free to just reach out to us, or we will actually note that and reach out to you afterward. All right. So we spent a good portion of our time just talking a little bit about the vendor experience. There is so much more to the vendor experience around like asking questions and receiving notifications when the award recommendations are made. I do want to save some time for us to go on the back end, log into the system, and show you some of the different aspects of how you would use the product as users of ProcureNow. So I'm going to go ahead and log out here. And I'm going to come over to my, I've got to have our demo system here that I'm going to just log into. Pardon the references to Gotham City and Batman, etc. That's we're a bit Batman geeks here. So I know there's like a there's like a DC versus Marvel rivalry going on, but we like them all. So what I'm going to do now is, as I mentioned before, let's take a moment and pretend like we've gone through and we have developed all of, we've gotten bid responses from different vendors, and now we're going to go through an evaluation period. I do want to spend a little bit of time on evaluations and a little bit of time on our contract tools, so that you can get a sense of how those tools work. And then we'll come back and we'll pick up some of the how do we develop the bid part and, after that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click on I've got a couple of projects that are kind of set up already, so I can kind of show you what that looks like. So I've got this one project here. I'll click on it. I've received my bids from different vendors. This is an RFP. So the way that I set up this RFP was it's going to go down the path of like having an evaluation committee. So let's just take a look at how this was set up here. So you'll notice that when I click on the project, the system knows that we're in the evaluation phase. And so it's going to present to you the most common things that you would do when a project is in the evaluation phase. Our system is intentionally guiding everyone through the process each and every time, instead of just sort of like throwing everything on one page for you and you having to sort of figure it out. We've built a system that intuitively guides everyone through each project each time. And the reason why we do that is because we realize that you're not in our software every day. And also you may have new staff that come on board that you want to get trained. And the common thing that we hear from our customers every time is that I typically just like sign them up. If it's like a new person that's coming on board, I give them a little bit of overview about where everything is located, and the system just guides them through the rest of it. And that's exactly why we built this. We don't want to have to force you and your staff to read, 20-page PDFs in order or more, like to understand how to use a product. The system should guide you through the process each time. And so you see how for this project, it's already through. We're building the bid. We're already through the sourcing of it. So you see these check marks here. And now I'm in the evaluation stage. And so that's why you have a star here. These are the buttons that we're going to be interested in right now. And then here are all the other things that we can do that are kind of off to the side, other actions. And so that's how our application is set up. Your common actions are here. Your other actions are here. Taking it to the next stage is going to always be here. So I'm in the evaluation stage. Let's take a look at it. I'm just going to edit the evaluation. I can see my costs, how much the weight is for each one, the prior experience, local business preference. I'll click next. Here's the folks that are on my committee. I added Jerry. I added you to the committee. If you haven't signed up yet. So because I created an account for Jerry, but she hasn't activated it. That's why it just shows her email address. But she's still a part of the committee. At some point, she'll go in and she'll activate her account, and then she'll be in. And so that's it. Like I have my evaluation criteria, which actually came over from the actual RFP. I didn't have to retype that in, and the evaluators that I have here. So I'll just save that. All right, and we'll come back here now. Let's take a look at. I'll click here on review my scorecards. So as an administrator, I have the ability to come in and see that that each person, Jerry, I filled these out for you.
Thank you. You're so good to me.
I know. It's like I'm signing up for you. I'm filling your scorecards out for you. You didn't have to do a thing. As you see here, as I'm going through, you see that for these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vendors, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks that are on the evaluation committee, and everyone except Harvey has submitted their scores, and I can you can see that right away. So in real time, you're going to be able to note how far along folks are. So if I wanted to, let's say, go over to the evaluators here, as an administrator, I do have the ability to see how many of the scores that they've entered, how far along they are. I can see that Harvey's done 7 out of the 18 scores, and 2 of his scorecards have been submitted. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot him a reminder so that he is gently nudged about what needs to be completed. Now, we do, as an administrator, I do have the ability to come in. So if I wanted to manage their scorecard for them, I can go in and I can fill it out on their behalf. I'll just show you this so that you can see what it looks like for an evaluator to fill out the scorecard. So if I'm looking at Accelerama as a vendor, and I click here, I can see their cover letter, their answers to their questions around references, other answers that they've provided here. And then here's my pricing tables I can see very easily. If I wanted to take a look at the documents, there's just one document here I've got here. I can just click on that. You can see how you can just scroll through the different documents that you have. Alternatively, if I wanted to look at the vendors and their answers side by side, I can just click on compare, and you'll notice how here's all your questions that you asked. Here's the answers to their questions and links to their documents. And you can just kind of slice and dice this however you want. So if I'm particularly interested in comparing the answers of a couple of vendors that I feel like are going to be the ones I want to move forward with, and I just want to investigate a little bit further, maybe call their references, check out their similar project listings, etc., I can do that just by slicing, dicing their proposals here. So this is a really key feature with anyone who's moving forward with an electronic bidding system, because you're receiving your proposals electronically. Imagine having to take like a 200-page electronic proposal and then trying to figure out how to give that to your evaluation committee. Without a system like this, you would be emailing it to them, I don't know, maybe even printing them out again, and then distributing to them. So we want to get rid of that, attaching to emails and using other systems to do this, where you can just, by just typing in their name, it sends them an email. They agree to any sort of conflict of interest statements or confidentiality agreements before you give them access to the software, and then off they go. So once they've done evaluating them and comparing them, then they just come in here, they open up their scorecard, and then they can provide their scores, they can provide their comments on them, and off we go. So real quick, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to really quickly come in and fill out the rest of his scores, because I would like to show you what happens next. All right, so they've completed all their scorecards. I can look at it and I can see for each vendor what Harvey has submitted as scores. I'll come back over here to my aggregate view, and I now see that everyone has completed everything here. So let's say that we have the 6 vendors, and if I look at my scores here, I'm going to order them highest to lowest. That Accelerama, Vortex, and Crosslink are the 3 that I want to move forward with, let's say, into a set of interviews. And so I'll just, real quickly, what I'll do here, if I want to look at Rachel and I can see the scores that she had, I can just click here and I can sit down with Rachel and go through her scores. And also if there were any comments provided, you would see them. I didn't set that up in this demo, but I can print them out. I can show like the original criteria that goes along with it that you see here. And then when I'm ready to go to the next stage of this, I'll just click new phase. And so now it's going to ask me, do I want to carry over all the evaluation criteria and scores from the previous, or do I want to start over with like a new evaluation criteria? And we've seen both happen, right? We've seen where you have interviews where you're just going to modify the existing score sheets that are there, in which case I'll just carry over the evaluations from the previous phase. Or if it's like I'm going to interview them and it's a whole new set of criteria, let's say that like you have just like, now it's just going to be 50 points, for interviews. And so from there, so for now, I'm just going to carry over the current evaluation. So I'll just say that. It's going to ask me who I want to go forward with. And so I'm going to look at this and say, okay, the ones that we decided on were Crosslink, Accelerama, and Vortex. I'm just going to exclude the other ones. Click next. And now I've entered into my next phase. And so now we have the opportunity, if I wanted to make any modifications to the definition of that evaluation criteria, I could by adding other evaluation criteria if I wanted to. So let's say in this case, I did want to add like an additional, like 20 points for interviews. I could do that. Or let's just make it 30 points. So it's an even 100. So I'll just complete that setup. And now I'm going to release it out again. So after everyone's been interviewed, I come back in. You'll notice that the 3 vendors have been excluded this time around. So that you can't go back essentially, and they won't be able to go back and change their scores, and they've been given zeros for the interview process itself. So again, if that's your process, that's great. Our system can also accommodate a lot of other scenarios for how you do phased evaluations. And so now I'll come in as an evaluator. I've seen all of their presentations. I can now come in and score my proposals. If I open up Alfred's proposals, for instance, and I open up the scorecards, let's say that they didn't do so great on their presentation, so I'm going to knock them down to 2 7s here, and we'll leave cost the way it is. But wasn't really impressed by what they did here, and overall I would give them a 5. So I'm just going to submit that here, and then I'll do the same thing for Accelerama. I really liked them. I'm going to go ahead and bump them up to a 10 this time, and you know, maybe like give a little comment like that, and we'll give them an 8 on their evaluation. And I'll do it one more time for Vortex Systems here. So let's say we'll keep all the same, and they did pretty good on there, so I'll give them an 8. All right. So what does that look like now? So if I go back over to my you know, how we're doing here. So now Alfred's come in and he's filled out everything that is related to that project and this particular phase of that project. You know, by nature of the fact that there was like an additional points that were given during the interview phase, you know, they're going to receive higher points, obviously, than the ones that were excluded. But here's the thing. I can go back and I can see, like, we capture these moments each time that you do this. So I can go back and I can look at what the original scores were for phase 1. And I can go back and I can, you know, look at what's happening in phase 2. And you can just continue to do this phasing as much as you want. So that's you know, that's a key feature of what we're able to help you capture and track all along the way, is how folks are scoring each step of the process. Now, the other feature that we have is the ability to generate a consensus scorecard. So for those of you who use consensus scoring and you put that out on the web so that everyone can see that what the overall consensus score was, I can easily do that here. So I'm going to go ahead and generate that so you can see it. All it does is it takes the scores that are already out there, averages them together, drops all of the comments and everything into a single scorecard, and then allows you then to make modifications to that, so that you can, you know, with one single scorecard, I have the ability to go in and say, okay, like we're going to, you know, we're going to change it from, like, you know, 10 to whatever, from you know, from 9 to 8, and then you can just go in and you can do all that in a consensus fashion, so that when you're ready, you can make the decision about who you're going to move forward with, and then once you make that decision, then you just select that vendor. So if we want to go ahead and let's say we move forward with cross-link solutions, I can do that, and I'll select the vendor here. And you see here how I have the ability to publicly display who the selected vendor is. I also have the ability to publicly display our consensus scorecard here as well. So that's an option that you can turn on if consensus scoring is something that your organization does on a regular basis. So that is the best value evaluation. And again, there's some more details to that, and we'll be happy to, you know, to answer any questions that you have about our capabilities there. Just wanted to give you a high-level overview of that. The other thing I just wanted to show you here is I've got another project here, which is our fire station generator services bid. If I want to click here, now because this was a bid, and essentially we're going to do a lowest bidder, responsible bidder. I'm just going to create the evaluation here. Notice that it gives me the option that we're going to be selecting the vendor based on price, assuming that they've met all the minimum requirements, and then versus select a vendor based on the scoring committee, which we actually just went through. So I'm just going to click on lowest price here, start the evaluation. You'll see how this is just a little bit different than what we just went through before. So in this case, what it does is it just takes the pricing that each of the vendors submitted and just lines them up into one table. I can just add all of them up here. And you notice that it automatically orders them lowest to highest. If I decided that I wanted to go forward with some options and not with others, that's actually what this is all about. So if you had multiple tables and multiple line items and you wanted to select the items that you're going to be moving forward with, it will just add up those items as a part of the calculation. And then you can see what the result of that is. So in addition to lining up all of their bid tabulation side by side, you would then also have access to be able to click on it and see all the documents that are related to it, see all of their responses, and then after you've looked at all their forms and looked at their payment bonds and looked at everything or looked at their bid bonds, etc., you can, if I needed to disqualify them because there were not certain minimum requirements that were met, all I have to do is just do that here. So this is where you would decide whether they've met the requirements or not, and then just disqualify them. You can optionally choose whether you want that disqualification to notify someone or not, but that's just an option that we can turn on or off. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put everything in a convenient place so that you can have easy access to seeing all of their cost proposals, how they filled out their bid schedules, and also have access to their actual documents and forms so that you can make a quick determination about whether they've accurately filled out everything that you need. So when I'm ready, I can just say, okay, I'm going to complete the evaluation. Let's say I'm going to make a recommendation that we're going to go forward with Crosslink. And so I'll just go ahead and select the vendor. I'm going to notify them that a recommendation has been made. So I'll just keep that on and I'll just click that and just say, okay. If I want to publicly display who that vendor is, I can do that. So let's take a look at what that looks like on the outside. So, and part of the reason why I take a moment just to do this is because a lot of folks are concerned about how can we support you in doing bid openings in a way where folks don't necessarily have to show up at a meeting. So if I wanted to, someone asked the question just now around will they be notified? And the answer is yes. They'll be notified when you make that decision. They'll be notified when this information goes live on your site. And so I can come in here, as you see, and if I click on the results, you see how it shows the bidders who responded. It also shows who the selected vendor is here. So anyone who's just sitting at home, and we've heard a lot of positive results from this as well, that boy, our contractors and our bidders are so happy that they don't have to drive 50 miles just to show up. They can just sit at home, wait for this to show up on their site or on your site, and they have the information that they need. And you can decide whether you want to show all of the line items or if you just want to show just the base totals. That part's up to you as well. And so then notice here it says vendor recommended by the evaluation process. Now, if I come back in here and I want to, now that I've received all of their, their other guarantees, I've received their certificates of insurance, their contract, et cetera, I'll just go ahead and finalize that award. It'll send another email out to them notifying them that, and then I'll just be able to make that award there. And it changes from award pending now to closed. So now if I come over here and I look at it, that's now going to say closed. It's going to say the vendor has been awarded, and it's going to tell us who that award was made to. All right, so the next thing I wanted to do real quickly is kind of talk a little bit about what happens with our contract tools. So I'm actually going to log out of my demo here. I'm going to log in to one of our customer sites so you can kind of just take a look at how they're using it. I think it's sort of the best, easiest way for you to see an example of how this can benefit you. So I'm going to scroll over here and log in here. I'll go ahead and answer this question. If you have to cancel a bid due to a protest, can you then copy the bid and relaunch it? Absolutely. There is absolutely a way. So let's say that you had to close a bid for whatever reason, but later I wanted to come in. I just wanted to copy this and create a new one and just release that. That actually happened with one of our customers yesterday. They were like, "Hey, we didn't get in." Their reason was they didn't get any responses the first time around, or they got some responses, but the setup was for some reason wasn't the information they got on their requirements wasn't accurate, and so they had to disqualify everybody and then re-release it again. So And that's just really easy to do. You just click the copy button and you just relaunch it. All right. So here, once, let me just click on a project here so I can kind of show you what that looks like. So here we've got a project that's kind of gone through beginning to end, right? So they issued the solicitation through our system. They sourced it. They got their proposals. They used our scoring system to determine who the winner was going to be. They selected their vendors. And then if you notice here, now they've got their contracts for each one of those vendors located here. So if I wanted to click on those contracts, well, you can see here, this one starts on 2019, ends on 2021. This one's 2022. This one's 2021. So they're able to effectively manage the start and end dates of their contracts. I can then come in here and I can click on one of them. And I can see it's just a 27-month contract that you see here, what the contract amount is, and I have access to all the documents that are all categorized for you. So you storing of your purchase order, their W-9s, their insurance documents, etc. that you see here. We also have a place where you can type in the expiration dates on their insurance certificates, and what that does is it automatically creates notification setups in the system. So you see here how our system, this was all created automatically, that there's going to be notifications that are going to go out 14 days before the expiration to anyone who is listed here in the subscribers list. So that can be anyone internally or anyone externally that you want to add to be a part of the subscription for this particular contract. So they're automatically just going to get notified. And our system actually set these up. So the end date on this contract, our system starts notifying folks 6 months in advance. Notice how you can actually adjust these notifications as well, but these are the defaults. If I click over here, part of the reason why we're notifying so far in advance is because they clicked the rebid button. And so what that's telling the system is, hey, like, when the contract ends and it looks and it checks to see if there are options to renew. If there were options to renew, then that notification starts going out like 3 months in advance. But because there are no other options, and we're essentially, coming up to the end of the contract, when that comes, we want to start notifying folks way in advance so that they're not, you're not caught. I was trying to search for another analogy of caught with your pants down, but that's exactly what it is. Like, you're not caught like wondering, okay, like, oh shoot, I forgot about this. I need to rebid the project. And so unfortunately for this project, they have it all in one place. So it's going to be really easy for you to go back and rebid this project just by like copying the original solicitation, making any sort of adjustments that you need to make. Our system will automatically like update like the terms and you'll take the requirements, but update the terms for you. But yeah, so you have the ability to that's where we're ultimately going, is like everything in one place, from the original development of the solicitation to the vendors that were responding to the evaluation criteria and scores to the contract. It's all going to be in one place for you so that you're not going to, years from now, have to search for where all of those things were. It's all going to be in one place for you. Yes, and thanks for answering that, Jerry. But the question came in around like, can you add contracts? Absolutely, that aren't part that weren't a part of ProcureNow. This is City Milpitas. They've been using our solution for a couple of years, but you'll notice that there's contracts in here that have these are all of their contracts. So they actually went back, and we can actually help you do this. We actually did this recently for the city of Brentwood, Tennessee, where they sent us a copy of all their contracts, and in the title of each file was the contract number and the title. And so they just sent us a share file, a share folder, to where the contracts are located. We were able to import all of those contracts into the system for you. And then they had to do a little bit of cleanup on it, by updating certain like expiration dates and contract end dates, etc. But in as much as we're able to automate that, we have some import tools that will actually help assist in this. But the result is being able to come in here and say, I want to check to see, you know, what are all of the contracts that I have that are, you know, let's say less than, you know, 500,000. So you see how it's just automatically updating where the department, let's say, is that it came from a certain department like Public Works or something like that. So if I type in Public Works, so now I have all contracts that were less than 500,000 that were, you know, issued by a certain department. So that's what I was talking about before, was the ability to have one place where you store, search, and retrieve everything, which is, you know, big problem number one for a lot of folks. And then big problem number two is I just want to be notified, you know, automatically when things are coming due. And so that's the, you know, the second problem that we were solving. The third problem that we were solving was actually just around like the contract language itself. So if I've created the contract record, let me just come back in here and show you this real quick. So if I've created the contract record, I can actually come in and create the contract document here. So actually, this is my test document, so I know I can do this. I know that. So I'm going to come in here like I've created, in this case, we have a test record here, and I'm just going to come in and like create the contract. So you see how our system is actually kind of a clause management tool as well. So let's say I want to, you know, move forward with a professional services agreement for this contract. And so all we're doing here is we're our system is able to ask some questions. Is this software technology? I'll say yes, because based off of how you answer certain questions, it will drop in certain language that you can use. And wherever we can pull information over from a solicitation, we will. But if you didn't create it in our system and you're just putting the contract in, you just fill in those blanks. So I'll just click here and kind of take you through it. You know, so here you'll notice what it's doing is that it's just like, okay, I need you to fill this in. You know, this is the blank that I need you to fill in here. Let me just come over here and I'll show you. They have a section here on insurance. So you'll see here how there's all these questions that they're answering around insurance. Is it going to be 1 million, 2 million, 5 million? And you can set defaults for this too. You know, let's say that for this one, I'm going to need 1 million in automobile liability. I'm going to need, this is a design build. So it has, you know, certain. So the only reason why I'm showing you this is just because you can do this with the entire contract, right? Like now you don't necessarily have to just like send out like your one single sort of sample agreement that you're trying to fit everything into. You can actually just take just a couple seconds more, answer a few questions, and then connect this contract language to your solicitations or to the, you know, or send it to the, you know, to the person who you're awarding the project to. And it fits better, if that makes sense. Like the contract is more appropriate for the project that you're moving forward with. I don't know how many times I've received a contract from someone who wants to move forward with, and I look at it and it's like asking me for, you know, 5 million in automobile liability. And I'm like, well, I'm a software vendor. I think this is because you have sent me like a sample contract for standard professional services for, you know, folks who are, you know, who need to, you know, I don't know, provide, you know, lawn care services for your parks. And so, and the reason why that is just because it takes a long time to try to customize it. But now it doesn't, because now you just come in here and you answer a few questions about some things. You decide whether you want to keep certain sections or remove them. And then once you do that, now we can see what we've built is behind the scenes is we're actually going in and we're developing that contract for you. So. All right. That's contracts in a nutshell. The last thing I just want to quickly show you, we're running a little bit. You know, I promised to end it at a quarter after, but wanted to kind of walk through some of those pieces of the system that occur after you receive your bids. But how did the bid get there in the first place? So for that, let me just quickly log out of. Actually, you know what? I'm here, so I might as well stay here. Let's go ahead and create a new project. So this is how you would create a new bid in our system. I would go and I say, I want to create a new project. I'm going to draft my solicitation. Notice it's asking me which kind of solicitation I want to draft. Let's choose IFB. Ask me, does this bid bond required? Is a bid bond required? Yes or no? Is there a performance bond required? Yes or no? And this is specific to this particular customer. These questions are going to be customizable based off of what your language is and what your process is, and make sure that it's compliant with your rules and regulations. So, I'm going to click here. Insurance required, I'll say no. Are we going to have a pre-bid conference? I'm going to say no, and just click next. Now I can go in here and I can type type in my budget amount if I have that. Summary of the project. Here's where I would be filling out my timeline. I can customize that. If I want to add a pre-proposal meeting, I can do that. If I want to turn off things like contractor selection date and when we're going to respond to it, I can do that. We can keep it super simple. Click next. So, and then this is where you can like drop your files. So if you have any sort of, your specs, your plans or anything like that, all you have to do is just drag and drop those here. Click next. This is where you have your questionnaire. So you see this is just boilerplate. This is just happens to be their boilerplate. Notice there's a question here around bid bond. If I were to come back here to my setup question, I say no to that question. And I turn off performance bond. Let's turn off contractor license. Let's turn all that off. I don't need any of that. Simple bid. I come back over to my questionnaire. You'll notice that those questions, it's no longer asking for those. So that is part of the magic of our solution is that, and for better or for worse, some folks call us the TurboTax of RFPs and bids. And I know that's totally cliche. But as you see that questions and it automatically like adjusts the language for it each time. Jerry, is my connection and my video and everything still okay?
Right now it is, yeah.
Okay, great. I just got a little.
We had a 1 second down, but I don't know if that was you or me.
I think, okay. I got a little notification, so just making sure. All right. So that's it. So the last step of this process would be if you have a pricing table, you would come in here and let's say I want to upload that. We can actually upload from an Excel file. So I can just go out there and grab my file. Let me just grab one here that's on my desktop here. So you can kind of see here, I've got a one here with a description and a quantity and unit of measure here. So I'll just click on that and it just automatically uploads that into the system for you. This was line item numbers here. So I'll just move that in front. Let's just change that here to line number. There you go. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to customize the tables, specifying like if you want to include quantities or not, whether you want to include totals. If this were a rate sheet, I could just turn off quantities. And that way they're just giving hourly rates. So that's how you would do that is essentially upload those. And let me just hide that here. And let me just save that. They have another section here around bid instructions. So you see how they're just saying, please select the option below that best describes the basis of the award. All right. So because the question came up around quotes versus bids, let me just come in here and I'll show you this here. So we just went through what their template for like an IFB or ITB. I'm just going to delete that here. I'm going to create another project. I'm going to use their quote template instead. So I'll just come in here and say new project, draft solicitation. I'm going to use their request for quote here. Their request for quote is just like they essentially have dumped all their terms and conditions into the actual quote itself. So that's why you see that the questions here are a little bit different, because this is kind of like a quick quote. What's the agreement method? It's just going to be a purchase order. So if it was purchase order versus CSA, you can just type that in here. We're just going to do a purchase order. Is there delivery that's applicable? So we'll say yes. Let's say that we want 1,000 umbrellas or whatever. So we'll just do that here. And then I'll just come in here like, okay, well, when do we want it? Type in the date and time. Where's the delivery location? Type that in. Is the quantity language applicable? I'll just say yes. And then again, I'm filling in this here, filling out this information if it's applicable. Notice here how it's just got everything kind of in one place here. So do you agree with the terms and conditions? And the reason why they're saying that, does bidder agree to the terms and conditions listed in the terms and conditions? So you see how that's highlighted. So that's what I meant. That's what I was saying before, is that if I look at what we've built so far, you'll notice that the terms and conditions are actually all built into the bid itself. Notice there's some information here around brand substitution, around authorized distributor. So if I come in here, let's say on the setup, and I want to change delivery to no, and I want to change quantity language applicable to no, and I come back over here, then it'll just look a little bit different. And it's just, and so again, like it's based off of, we can have set up a question and say, like here, they always allow for brand substitution, but some of our customers don't. And so there may be a question that we have that says, are you going to allow for brand substitution? And if you say no, then that language will just never show up. And you don't have to, it's just one-time setup that you do that. So now, after I answer these questions and I look at like how we're going to have them acknowledge the terms and condition, acknowledge the Q&A, acknowledge the addenda here, all they're doing is uploading their W-9, uploading the wage theft certification, giving them their contact information. And then the last part of this would actually be just like having the pricing table. So, if I want to have umbrellas and I want 1,000 of them, and the unit of measure is each. I can just click that. So you can just quickly put that in the system. If there are any other attachments, we have this one document they have to fill out and upload, so that's automatically a part of the template, and I'm ready to go. Here it's probably asking me for a project ID, and they require me to fill this information in, so I'll just do that real quick. There we go. And I'm done. And that's it. So now I'm just releasing it out to the public, etc. There's a little bit more that I can show around like posting bids, but unfortunately we're up against our time. I wanted to first of all thank everybody for joining us on the webinar today. I know that if you have other meetings that you need to get to, I certainly understand that. We are going to provide this webinar for you also as an archive, so be on the lookout for an email from us. We post all of our webinars actually on YouTube. So if you just type in YouTube ProcureNow, it actually takes you to our ProcureNow homepage on YouTube. And if you click on playlist, you'll see there's a playlist called webinars. And all of our webinars that we've done are all listed here. You can publicly access them without any issues. And we'll post this one here as well. We're going to stick around for a few minutes to answer any other questions that you may have. Again, our goal today was to show you some different aspects of our solution and to give you an opportunity to understand a little bit about what ProcureNow is all about, how easy it is for you to get started. As I mentioned before, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them now. We can help you get started right away. We've had customers who can be up and running in 24 hours. And again, I'll just say that If you're accepting paper bids right now and you want to find a solution that will help you make the transition to electronic and do so in a way that's like non-disruptive, where you have professionals such as Jerry, myself, and the rest of the ProcureNow team who are going to be with you every step of the way. That's exactly exactly the experience that our customers have. It won't take up a lot of your time. We'll actually just have you send us your next upcoming bid that you have. We'll use that to set up your system, walk you through it, get you familiar with it, so that you're not necessarily like just sitting in training that's not relevant for you. The training that we give you is relevant to the projects that you have coming up, so that you feel good about what's being put out there. We can. We become more familiar about what your processes and your language and your terminology is, so and so. So, question: can vendors search your contracts like we saw in the demo? There is an option for that, yes. So we do have a public portal that you can take advantage of, and so. In the example that I have here, let me just go in. I'm gonna delete this bid here real quick. So you notice here, this was actually like an internal portal that allows you to do search and retrieval. If I were to, let's come over here and look at the dashboard layout here. Let's go to the public portal. So you notice that there's also a public portal here. So that they're not using it yet, but they have one example out here. And this example of so you have the ability to decide which contracts that you want to go public. In this case, they just put the one out there. They're testing it out right now. So the vendor's experience looks a little bit different. Notice when I click on it, and I do have the ability. The public has the ability to filter, to set up custom columns, etc. When they click on it, they just get kind of a high-level overview of the start date, the duration, the renewal, who the vendor is, and if there was a solicitation, they can link back to that and then have access to the documents and the class and how they're classified. So there's absolutely a public portal that you can connect to your website that will allow the public to search your contracts as well. All right, what other questions do you have? Well, with that said, I'll just leave it at this. There's a question here around Florida. Please, what we'll do, we will reach out to you afterwards, because there are a lot of folks on here from different states and different areas. We do have purchasing mechanisms in place in a lot of different places, and we'll be happy to talk with you about what those options are. We have partnerships with organizations, and also we have contracts that are cooperative and piggyback, et cetera, that we can work with you to make sure that we can help make purchasing ProcureNow as smooth as possible. We are offering, just so you know, and something that we didn't cover here, but if you decide that you want to move forward with us, you can actually take advantage of our solution, the sourcing module, and I'll just put that back on the screen here. So if you're interested in just like moving forward with electronic bidding and getting the vendor database and the bidding and evaluations and everything up and running, you can actually take advantage of that risk-free at no cost through the end of this year. So that is our sourcing module that you see here: vendor management, electronic bidding, online evaluations. We're actually offering that to anyone who wants to, let's say like give it a test drive for like your next 5 bids that you have. And pretty much every one of our customers pretty much have done this, where they go ahead and they go live with doing it for their next few bids, and they use that as an opportunity to show your administration, to show your vendors, your community, your colleagues, just how significantly positive this transformation is, and just how easy it is as well. And that really makes justifying that the actual purchase just that much easier. We believe in it so much. We guarantee that you will love it. Your boss will love it. Your colleagues will love it. That we'll actually give it to you for free for 4 months and let you give it a try. We have yet to have a customer come back to us and say after that trial period that they just don't want to do this anymore. So it is truly that significant. And it really just is around that. There's all of these things. There's all these challenges that we can eliminate for you within a couple of days. And we know the challenges that come with paper-based bidding and just how arduous that can be. And it can sometimes feel like it's an enormous hurdle to have to cross to make that switch to electronic. And if you aren't selecting the right system, it can be really difficult. And it can feel like it's, like if you're not just super tech savvy, that you're going to have a lot of problems. But our customers obviously range from the super savvy to the not so super savvy, but they love us across the board. And I think there's a reason for that, and that reason is just because we've made this our goal as to be the most modern, intuitive e-procurement solution that's available to you today. So with that, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Jerry, for joining us on the webinar. We're both here as a resource to you. If you have any further questions, because you registered for the webinar today, we will be reaching out to you to see if you would like to schedule another one-on-one conversation with us. And if you're interested in the free trial, we'll be more than happy to send you the information about that, the pricing that could follow that if you're interested, and our terms, so that you can go ahead and just be understanding what that is. We're more than happy to send that over your way if you are interested in that. Just please be on the lookout for an email from myself and Jerry as a follow-up to today's webinar. Thank you again so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure serving our local governments and our procurement community. It's truly an honor for myself. I know it is for Jerry as well, to be able to have a job like this every day where we get to help do something that's just amazingly transformational. And so that we get to hear those stories like I heard yesterday from one of our customers where they just received so many accolades from their board of just being so happy that they were so prepared. It really makes what we do. It's truly why we're here. So
it warms your heart for sure.
It does. It does. And it's the reason why I've been in the public sector for as long as I have. I took a couple of years off after my tenure at Granicus. And after a couple of years, I missed everyone so much, I decided to come back. And and to do this and to, transform the experience for not only you, but for your bidders as well. So that process every time that, when I would receive a bid or an RFP from from an agency, and I would take a deep breath before I opened up that 100-page PDF document and scratch my head and try to figure out what to do next. It was those experiences that led me to want to do something about that. And so here we are. So thank you so much again for joining us today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Be on the lookout for a follow-up email, and be safe, be healthy, take care.
Thank you.